video I posted where I kind of showed that this shower did not have a pre-slope and it leaked anyway through capillary action through the curb. The only reason I'm showing this clip again, if you watch the other video that I had, just kind of give you an idea of what this bathroom used to look like. This is, I believe it was 25 years ago this bathroom was built. I believe they may have done the shower separately at some point. Shower in the bathtub area got done separately, I think probably about 12 years ago. Tried to match up the floor tile with what you see currently on the tub and all that stuff, and it was an okay match. It's not a bad job at all, honestly. I really hated to throw that tub away, but there was no way I was going to get it through the house, without tearing it apart. Anyway, the point is to see the before and after. Basically, I do a lot of during the process type videos where I do the tear out, and I do the build back process, and all the prep and the tile and all that stuff. And going back to my YouTube channel, it'll be 13, it's either 13 or 14 years this month. Going back, that's what I used to do 13, 14 years ago. I didn't know it was a thing to show my work. So back then I would show this early stage where things look like this, and then I would just pop up with the brand new thing. My customer Tom, awesome guy, both him and his wife actually, and their cat. And if I can, I'm going to squeeze in the video if I can manage figure out how to do it, because I took the video off of my phone, I believe. Anyway, yeah, awesome people. And Tom had a definitive plan for this shower, and get out this tub and make a larger, well, somewhat larger shower than a freestanding tub, which you're going to see momentarily. But I just wanted to show what the possibility was. There's a little clip in here in the middle where I'm showing that curb there. They didn't want it to be that high, and it's going to be an outside curb. So it was 2 2x4s instead of 3, so you're going to notice that at the finished product. And then that clip that I said will be in the middle is basically me going on my little rant about using on an outside corner shower. Very, very difficult to wrap pan liner, traditional pan liner on an outside corner. So I usually defer to Kerdi, which is a cloth membrane. And I do that from time to time, maybe once a year. I'll use Kerdi as a pan liner. Is it necessary because I'm waterproofing the surface? Probably not, but I like it. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and have it. Did I say that right? I'd rather need it and have it than not need it and not have it. I don't know. Anyway, you get the gist. And so I'm kind of showing the process when I do use Kerdi, because it comes in very small 3-foot sections. I have to do an overlap, and you'll see that where I put a waterproofer on top of it. Anyway, without further ado, I know I'm yapping on 2 fronts on this original video, and then I silenced it so that I could do this little verbal thing. But I'm going to go ahead, go forward with showing how I make that pan happen. If anybody out there ever wants to use Kerdi or any type of sheet membrane as a pan liner, then by all means. Trust me, if you ever do an outside corner on a shower, you will thank me 1,000 times for coming up with the idea of using a cloth membrane for a pan liner. And this shower, like I said, Tom and his wife just had this inspiration to do what was done, and I absolutely love it, and I hope you guys too. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this and move on to the second part. Every once in a great while, I'll use Kerdi as my shower pan liner. There's a lot of other products that are like Kerdi. Kerdi is basically a sheet membrane. It's waterproof, and it's 100% waterproof. I have no problem with Kerdi. In fact, a lot of people are using Kerdi for the top of the pan, when they do the sealed system, rather than using RedGuard like I usually do. Well, this is Ardex. I love this stuff. It's a lot thicker, and the fumes are a lot less. But anyway, what I was saying, that people will use a sheet membrane on top of the pan mortar, which is fine if it makes you feel better. I have used a liquid topical membrane on top of my pan mortar for about 8 years, way before seal system was even an utterance. And I feel good about it. And now that there's all these products out there to basically do what I've been doing, people feel better about sheet membrane.
I don't, because overlap. These are 3-foot sections, so there's going to be an overlap. In this case, I think it's about 8 inches or so. And thin set, no matter if it's modified or unmodified, is not waterproof. Thin set is not waterproof. So there are people online, Isaac and a couple of others, who've done experiments with Schluter where water has penetrated through the thin set, and then they're surprised. And I'm like, why are you surprised? Thin set is not waterproof. Waterproofer is waterproof. So you can do all, with Kerdi, you can do all these folds. So let me explain, I got ahead of myself. When I use Kerdi, it's for 2 specific reasons. Outside corner of a shower, you'll never get a thick shower pan liner to go into the outside corner. It'll bunch up and all that stuff, and no matter how you cut it and no matter you patch it in, it won't work because it's too thick. And then even if you do get it on, it's going to be double, triple layer on top, and you'll never get your backer board right. So years ago, when I have outside corners, I use Kerdi, because Kerdi is much thinner material, so I can shape and mold it the way I want to. And then if I end up cutting like I did here on the inside corner, I can just put patches of the Kerdi on the inside corner, and I'm good to go. Much easier. That's one reason. Second reason, if I have metal studs, aluminum metal studs, then I have to fashion in plywood. Usually it could be 1/4 inch or it could be 3/4 inch, whatever. But I glue, there's a product out there, it's a PL product called Fuse-It. And Fuse-It is like strong as nails. So I put some Fuse-It on the plywood between the metal studs, let it set overnight, top, bottom, and sides. And it's just like I said, liquid nail, so it does what it's supposed to do. And then I use Kerdi and I do the same thing here. So my 2x6s get buttered with thin set, so it's all monolithic, right? All the cracks between the studs and all the cracks between the 2x8s and the 2x4s and all that stuff, 2x6 rather, all those cracks get filled in, buttered if you will. So I butter all the wood so it's monolithic. Then the next day, which was yesterday, then I can wrap my Kerdi. So you screed out, God, I should have taped this before. Anyway, you screed out some thin set with like a 1/4 inch V-notch trowel, and at a 45-degree angle. You don't want a whole lot in there, and you don't have to do all this floor section with the thin set. All you need to do is the walls, and I do inside, outside, and top of the curb. And then it's just like wallpaper, same as you would normally use Kerdi on a wall. You just use it on the floor that way. When it dries the next day, that's when you want to waterproof all your seams. Anywhere there is possible penetration of water, which would be here, where water could get through those seams and into the thin set, and then wick its way eventually to the subfloor, or whatever you have below it. So I'm very adamant about anytime I use Kerdi to overlap waterproofing. Not just one coat. I'm gonna let this dry, and then there'll be a second coat. I feel better about it, because if you're not doing this, I don't know how you sleep at night without thinking to yourself, ooh, wonder if I'm gonna have a failure in a year or 5 years or 8 years or 10 years down the road. I didn't mean to get that area. Yeah, so I just feel better about doing it this way. There's no reason not to, because mixing products and doing the critical thinking that you have to do is all part of being responsible for your own work. There's not a product out there, manufacturer of a product, that's going to back you up. Even if you use all their proprietary stuff, they're not going to back you up if you have a failure. You know, you're supposed to mitigate failures, and this is the way I do it. Yeah. So that's about it. That's all I have to say about this situation. People talk about dam corners. I have extra of this Kerdi, and I could have put some Kerdi here, but understand, when I put my backer board on top of here, the backer board itself is going to get a waterproofer. And that's why I'm not big on these corner areas here. What I will do is I'll hit that area. All right, then my backer board is going to overlap that, and then the backer board gets waterproof. Because everybody knows who does tile work that the corners left and right on the curb are the Achilles heel. When you have a failure, 90% of the time it's the curb area. And this is the final. This is everything said and done. 12 by 24 stone-like tile, running bond, no stagger. A nice freestanding tub, freestanding faucet with a little telephone thing, whatever. I did a flood test last night. From that mark, there was nothing draining out, so that's good. What else? So all this tile is, this is a second thought. So we got rid of, if you notice on the other video, we got rid of everything. Got rid of the tub, got rid of all that tile and all that stuff. And there was, because the tub had like kind of a knee wall type of thing, they decided they didn't want that. So there's going to be one solid panel of glass here, and a joining panel of glass here, and then the door will be over there eventually. So it's a good idea. They wanted to go 2 2x4s up. They didn't want 3 2x4s, so that's what happened here. That's why the curb is so low. And then it got topped off with this marble, what I call curb top material. And what else? Yes, this very fancy, I don't even remember the name of it. My customer bought it, and ooh, everything was hard about this installation. Everything was hard about this except for the pretty stuff. That was easy. But everything else was kind of difficult. Sweating in the valve and all that stuff, relatively easy. But there was a lot of parameters that are not normal. The parameter on the shower head and the wand, your nipple has to be flush with the tile, right? Normally you would be flush with your wallboard. And in this case, if you ever get one of these, and I don't know the name, I'll put it in the description if I find out the name. But if you ever get one of these, know that your nipple has to be flush with the tile, right? So kind of contrary to what we do. Yeah, it looks nice. It functions really well. I like it, sort of. I've never been one for a rainforest head because I just don't think it gets a lot of GPM coming down on you. That's full GPM right there. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. But that being said, everything else got trimmed out. There's Schluter up there, there's Schluter at the top, Schluter down to that point there. What else? Oh, I took the trim out there and I put some plastic 1x up there so everything would match. And then they wanted the same material to trim out on the niche. And I was gonna do 45s on that, but I didn't want to ruin, you know, because you got veins in this marble and I didn't want to ruin a piece and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's why I did just straight. But yeah, it turned out really good. Turned out exactly the way that I knew that it would. Yeah, that kind of rhymes. And then I have this black transition over here and going all the way to the toilet closet. And the toilet closet doesn't have a toilet yet. That's still downstairs in the garage. I don't know if I'm putting that in or not. Another thing too, this texture tile, because it does have a texture on it, which is really nice for anti-skid. What happens if you don't do the cleanup on your thin set or grout? This tile grabs it. It just grabs it. So the product out there, what I used to use is Grout Release, which is an oxymoron. It doesn't really release grout, but it does release all your particles of residual stuff. But then I discovered this that Home Depot also carries, and it is like an acidic type of, you'll see because it'll kind of bubble up as I pour it on. It's kind of acidic. You see how it just reacts with that thin set? Yeah, and then you just take a scouring pad and you wipe all that stuff away, which I had to do earlier, but there's still a few spots left, which is why I wanted to come on camera and not clean that up right away. I want to clean it up with you watching. Then you come in there with a damp sponge, which I've already used this for this purpose, and you wipe up all that excess acidic stuff. I think it's sulfuric acid, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't read it, but yeah. That's basically how you're going to do a cleanup. But I'm going to say this. If you have a textured tile that you're putting down, Do your cleanup as you go, which I'm guilty of not doing a lot of, especially on a textured. If you know it's a textured tile, do your cleanup as you go, because it's going to save you a lot of scribbing and on your hands and knees and trying to get everything back pretty the way it is now. I'm just saying. But if you happen not to, spend the $25 or $30 for this stuff. It's awesome, because this floor was all mucked up prior to me on video. Also, this is also very, see what we can do with the running bond? No lippage whatsoever. Yes, I still use leveling clips, but there is absolutely no lippage. So I could do a bucket test on here where I fill a bucket up about a third with water and I just slide it across the floor and it would not tip over. Guaranteed 100%. It just turned out really awesome. It's also a good rectified tile. I think this is $4 or $5 a square foot, which basically equates to $8 to $10 for one tile, and it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. But we as tilers always do the staggered pattern, so we strive for no lippage. But the only way you can guarantee that, leveling clips and running bond, which is what we have. Running bond, which is what we have. So it all turned out very nice. It's one of those jobs that I took pleasure in doing because I knew the end result. I can already visualize how it's going to look. And because I knew it was going to look this way, awesome. I was just excited about doing it. And my customer was excited as well. So yeah, turned out good. Go get him. Go get him, Tiger. Yeah, that's so cool. Hey, if you enjoyed that video and you learned something, consider being a Patreon member. $5, $10, $15 a month would help me greatly produce more videos. I make nothing from YouTube at all. If you're gonna call me for advice, please donate $50 for 30 minutes. My link to my PayPal and my Patreon account is down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get immediate notifications as soon as I post videos. And thank you very much for your support.